Get Certified Together program is created by Technocofe, your free online knowledge sharing website, based out in London.
Share data with the other users, the defined and structured way, how we should configure the cloud. So in this case, that is object storage, unit storage, synthetic storage, and databases. Now we can do structured storage using databases as well, but what they mention is that users should be able to access their data and share data. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Certified Together series. This is episode number 31 I am recording today, and for those of you who can figure out something wrong with my voice, then I am actually recovering from COVID. Surprise, surprise, it's still there. I really thought that it's nowhere in the news, so maybe it's gone, but seems like it's not, and that I'm still recovering from it. It's still as bad as it was the first time, but I'm really sure if you guys are there going out, then I recommend that still take care of yourself and your close one, because seems like this particular virus is still out there. For sure, no one seems to be care about it. Now everyone is vaccinated, and if you are not vaccinated, then it's completely upon you if you want to get vaccinated or not. But even though I am vaccinated, I still got it, and it still feels as bad as it was for the first time, so I'm not really sure what's happening. Anyhow, I am still on my recovery side, and just I got a little bit of time. I tried to wrap up one of the topic of our domain 2 last week, and I thought of recording it now because I think I have some time and I can really do it. For domain 2 anyhow, we are only left with a single topic, and it's really not that big. We are sort of covered it a lot of times in different topics, directly or indirectly. We have discussed about this particular thing, which we are left with domain 2. I am, to be honest, quite excited about finishing off domain 2, because domain 3 is more towards real cloud infrastructure and securing that infrastructure. So I am excited from my side because I work on cloud infrastructure. It's much more close to things which I do day in and day out, and that's why it's really something which I can give something on my own. I can share some ideas, share some information from my side. So of course it's exciting for me to read about it and to share the knowledge with you. Data lifecycle or data security was something which I was not that aware before. Of course, now we have covered a lot of things related to data security in domain 2. Then we know that it's really one of the critical component of whole cloud security or information security. I am more aware about data security and how we can make sure that there is a secure data lifecycle being followed in any organization. I'm sure you guys must having a better idea about cloud data security as well. So let's wrap it up. Let's wrap the last topic today. Before that, I want to thank you all, because last week I reached 20,000 subscribers on my current podcast hosting platform. I was having 10k already before I moved to the new platform, so in a way it's 30,000 now, but I only started tracking it once I moved to the new platform, so I'm still on 20k there. 20k is not that big amount if you think about like those million of views which happen on TikTok or YouTube. You can find a lot of channels with million of views. I'm still small in compared to that in number, but yeah, something to feel happy about. Even those out of those 20,000 listens or 20,000 episode downloads, even a single person comes up and say that they learned something new, he or she learned something new from my episode or from my learning, then I'm sure it all pay off. So I'm not into numbers. I know that I'm not really putting in a lot of efforts. I'm not having a studio, or I'm not having a kind of like those infrastructure which are required to make sure that you are having a good episode recording. So I really don't expect that my podcast should be popular. Only thing I rely on the content, because cloud security and cloud infra is something which is quite a hot topic, and I'm into learning phase, and we all want to learn about it, we all want to know about it. For sure, if you are into cloud infrastructure already, then cloud security is something you need to look upon. If you are into development, if you are a DevOps engineer, then again it's relevant for you guys as well, directly or indirectly. Somewhere down the line, questions might come up related to infrastructure security, or how you can secure your platform, the tools which you are using, how you are making sure that code you are writing is secure, it's not having any kind of vulnerabilities, it's not having any kind of source which is vulnerable. Because these days, more and more open source codes which we are writing, we are using a lot of packages from internet, we are using a lot of packages from a number of sources, so that supply chain need to be secure as well, the kind of code which you are using. So security, indirectly or directly, is coming these days in every aspect of our technical life, or our engineer life. And I'm sure that's the only pitch I have for my podcast, because I am learning about security, and I really hope that whoever listen to this also can get some idea about it. I don't expect you to be expert after listening to my podcast, because I myself is not. I can be very open about it. What I do have is something that I'm learning these things, and what I'm really doing with this podcast is learning something myself and sharing it right away. So it's kind of like a revision for me as well, it's kind of like a knowledge sharing for other guys as well. That's the whole idea, and somehow it lead to 20,000 downloads, which is, I'm not sure if it's really incredible, but it's not that bad, to be honest. Anyways, quickly we can move into today's topic. Like I said, I am not in situation of talking about a lot of things. I started reading domain 3 topics last week, and I could have added that as part of today's episode as well, but I thought of doing something different this time. Remember, I told you in one of the episodes that CCSP Cybex document is available on ISC Square website, and anyone can go and download that document, and that document have some practice questions as well. So what I thought doing today is we quickly wrap up domain 2, then we try to cover some questions from that free practice questions PDF document, and it's kind of will be helping us in revising those topics, those things. So what I'll be doing is I'll be reading the questions in front of you, and we'll try to answer it right away. Let's see how much I learn. You can maybe think over and try to answer it as well on the go, and then we'll try to see. I think there are answers on the last page of that document as well, so we'll try to see how much we got right, and if more and more we got wrong, then of course we need to work on our skills again. Maybe not only you guys, for me as well. All right, let's quickly start our today's episode. First of all, of course, with a advertisement break, and after advertisement break, I'll be sharing with you what we have covered till now in domain 2. All right, see you after the break. All right.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit a million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Thanks for coming back. For a quick recap of the things which we have covered in domain 2, we have covered secure data lifecycle, creation of data, storing it, archiving it, using it, and then removing it or properly deleting it from your system. That's the stages of secure data lifecycle. We also covered something related to PII, personal identifiable information, the secure information. We also read about different type of techniques which can be used for securing the data: encryption, masking, tokenization. We also read about data loss prevention system, DLP system, which are in place, which any organization can buy from a third-party provider. They can introduce their own solution as well to make sure that data which is supposed to be confined in a particular place is always there, it's not leaked outside. We heard about different type of DLP solutions as well. We also read about data retention policies, how frequently we should be deleting the data, for how long we should be keeping it, archiving it. We need to make sure that there is an agreement between the end data users as well as the person who is kind of like data administrator, to make sure that data is only available till a particular set of time, particular period of time, and then remove it as cleanly as possible so that it cannot be retrieved further. So we heard about that data retention policies, different way of archiving it, different way of deleting the information. And of course, we read about different type of data storage techniques. So if you recall, block storage and object storage, ephemeral storage, and unstructured and structured data in case of platform as a service. All these things we have covered as part of topic 1 of domain 2, which is different type of storage available onto the cloud-based system or cloud-based deployments. We have covered all of these things. Moving on to the last topic of domain 2, which is event management, or kind of like a log analysis. So what's really happening in case of event management, or kind of like logging into different type of events which are happening into your system, how it is actually related to the data lifecycle or data security? Well, of course, if you're making sure that your data is always secure, if you're making sure that data in and out is controlled, only relevant persons are allowed to access a particular set of information, only particular set of users or particular set of administrators are allowed to tweak any policy or delete some information, you are defining all of these things onto your storage system so that you can kind of have a look and kind of have a control onto what can or cannot happen onto your data storage. These things need to be recorded, right? If something goes wrong, then how we can make sure, or how we can do some like post incident analysis if you don't have a record of who is doing any kind of changes, who is accessing a particular set of data when at particular timestamp. All these things are part of logs, and we have to make sure that we are monitoring those logs, we are monitoring that data in and out, we are monitoring those access information irrespective of the kind of end data system we are using. So even if we are using like infrastructure as a service, if we are deploying a virtual machine based deployment onto the cloud, if you are using a platform as a service, so we are using a kind of like a pre-created service from the cloud which we are using it as like a front-end interface, or even if we are using a software as a service offering from the cloud service provider, irrespective of everything, the kind of solution which we are using, we need to make sure that all our logs are captured. Whoever is doing any kind of activity onto that data system should be monitored, and we should be able to see what is happening anytime, any period of time. And all of them are covered as part of event management system, or we discuss about SIM solution as well. So we can integrate this all our end system to a SIM solution where all the events or all the logs from my machine, from my database, or from my storage system will be handed over to my SIM solution, and then I can do some analysis, or I can at least track record of who is doing what at a particular instance or at a particular timestamp. Of course, data event sources can be different. Like I mentioned, we can use software as a service, we can use platform as a service, or infra as a service. Different type of services creates different type of logs if we are using a software as a service, because we read about it in the domain 1 that in case of software as a service, what we are only getting is an application portal. We don't know where that application is deployed, whether it's running on a container or on a virtual machine or on a server. We don't really care, and we don't even know, because that is something being provided by that application owner. So if we are end user, we are storing some information, for example on OneDrive, or we are doing something on Gmail, that is kind of like a front end of a service. In backend, it might be creating its own log. We cannot get what is happening on that virtual machine. We cannot get that kind of information, that detailed granular logs. We cannot get it. What we can get it like access logs. Who is accessing that application at what time? Of course, we can demand that from the application owner. In case of software as a service, it's less granular. It's more kind of like a generic logs. Who is logging into a system and doing what? For platform as a service, we can get kind of like a database level logs as well. If we are running some kind of database onto my platform as a service, we can get that level of information as well. Again, we cannot get what our virtual machine level information, because we are not owning that virtual machine, because platform as a service is something which is pre-configured by the CSP. We are kind of admin of that application, that platform as a service, but we don't own that virtual machine on top of that. So we cannot again get the virtual machine instance log. So again, we can go a bit more granular, but we cannot go all the way to the bottom. For infra as a service, we can get hell lot of information. We can even deploy our own kind of like SIEM solution. We install our own agents on those machines and expect any kind of information which we want. We can get information related to who is accessing that virtual machine. We can get even information related to who is accessing application which is running on that virtual machine. So we can get different level of information. We can create this kind of hierarchy, like this particular component is doing what, who is trying to access this particular component. All in all, everything is changed as we move on to different kind of services. And of course, for a proper data security or a secure data solution, these event sources need to be considered. We have to make sure that we are covering different kind of scenario if we want to implement kind of like a SIM solution for monitoring the events happening to our data. Of course, there are a lot of uses as well. Why we really want to cover this information, why we want to capture everything. We need it for auditing. It's required for contract as well. All this information which we are securing, which we are logging in as part of data monitoring or data event management system, can be used in different ways and can be required in different ways. Another very important thing is chain of custody, which makes sure that we can easily control who is owning what. We can clearly come up, and if something goes wrong with a particular information, if something goes wrong with a particular data, we can clearly identify who is the owner of that information and who should be responsible for if something goes wrong with that. So everything is interconnected. If we are monitoring everything, if we are taking a good record, if we are capturing everything as part of like event management system, we can then use that event management logs, those event sources in different ways. We can use it for auditing purpose. We can use it to make sure that if something goes wrong, we have a proper chain of custody as well. We can use it for non-repudiation if something goes wrong in a particular data, to make sure that whoever did those changes doesn't refuse that he or she didn't do those things. Using those logs, we can use them kind of like a proof in case of our post-incident management analysis. So it's really important, and although this is a short topic, but this somehow wraps up everything what we covered till now. For any kind of solution, any kind of data security techniques which we are deploying, which we are creating as part of Secure Data Lifecycle, everything should be recorded, everything should be captured from the logs itself, so that we can have a better control, we can have better visibility on what is happening at a what particular time period. Alright, this brings us to the end of domain 2. We have covered everything related to data and data security. Let me quickly share a few questions with you guys and let's see if we are able to answer them. Alright, so first question. Which of the following sanitization method is feasible for use in the cloud? Crypto shredding, degaussing, physical destruction, overwriting. If we are talking in terms of cloud, we cannot do physical destruction. We cannot go to the AWS data center. We cannot do overwriting as well, because we are not sure where AWS is storing the information, where Azure is keeping our data. We cannot of course do degaussing, because again we don't have access of the hard disk or the drives. What we can do is crypto shredding. So answer for this question is crypto shredding. Let's move on to another question. Alright, your organization is migrating the production environment to an IaaS cloud implementation. Your users will need to be able to get access to their data, install programs, partition memory space for their own purpose. You should configure the cloud memory as object storage, volume, synthetic, database. Now object storage is simple file level storage. We cannot install anything on object storage. We cannot install anything on database and synthetic as well. So what I really hope for this particular question, answer should be volume, because if we mount a volume, we can install anything, we can partition according to our requirement, and we can of course access the data which is stored on that. So for answer for this should be the volume. And something similar related to this as well. In this particular scenario, users will be able to access their data, share data with the other users in a defined and structured way, how you should configure the cloud memory. So in this case can be object storage, volume storage, synthetic storage, or databases. Now we can do structured storage using databases as well, but what they mention is that users should be able to access their data and share data with other users as well. So I think it should be object storage, but we will check in the end of the episode. What type of data storage is often used in PaaS arrangement? Ephemeral, database, long-term, nefarious. I think for this we read about databases in case of PaaS arrangement, but again we'll check in the end episode. And let's have the last one for today. Anonymization is the process of removing fill in the blank from dataset. What it removes? Anonymization removes any information which can lead to identifying. So we have something here in one of the option. We are not removing anything related to access. We are not having keys. We are not removing numeric values. What we are removing is any kind of information in that particular set of data which can identify and lead to maybe a PII for a particular user or a particular person. Anonymization, we are removing any sort of identifying information. Alright, let's quickly check the answer. Yeah, seems like all are correct. Well done. If you got the right answer as well, then I hope we are on the right track. Alright, that's it for today's episode. I would really love to have more information today, but I am feeling a bit kind of like I'm running out of my breath, so it's kind of tiring for me. let's check out in the next week episode, and we'll cover domain 2. We'll cover domain 3 and cloud infra security. I hope that will be much more exciting and much more interesting than domain 2. I liked it, but it's not something I am really looking forward to reading about again. Of course, before the exam, I'll be revising it again, but something for the future. Anyhow, thank you all for listening. Goodbye and good luck. Hope you have a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to Get Certified Together. If you loved our content, then please like and subscribe from your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss the notification for our next episodes and announcements.